Once you find a great deal and find a market, you need to analyze that deal. So this is part one of analyzing a deal. We're going to go over some key metrics and how to gather some of that information that you're going to need to analyze the deal. So key metrics for a great deal: price or price per unit. Um, Depending what market you're in, this is going to be vastly different. But maybe in your market, $50,000 per unit if you're looking at multifamily. So if it's 5 units, it's going to be $250,000. Maybe that's a great deal. So it all just kind of depends on your market. When you start analyzing a bunch of different deals, you'll be able to tell right away, what's a good price per unit in that area. But that just comes with practice and knowing your market. Another thing that you're looking for, it's got to produce good cash flow. So this is income after all the expenses and the mortgage are paid, because this drastically lowers your risk. And if you're looking to get financial freedom, this can replace your income if you build up enough of the monthly cash flow from properties. And lastly, it's got to be in a good area. So low crime, good school districts, good income for like a median income in the area, population growth, that kind of stuff. So if it's a good area, that's the other key. Um, and then you'll also want to look for a value add opportunity. So what does a value add opportunity mean? It kind of means exactly kind of what it says, but you're looking for some property that has deferred maintenance, under market rents. So that could just be from, mismanagement. They're not raising rents enough to meet the market, or they just need a lot of renovations to get those rents up. So you're looking for under market rents, poor management, or too high of expenses. So this would come from poor management, but their expense bills are too high. So maybe utilities are out of whack. They're not controlling them. Maintenance is maybe out of whack. It's too high. They're not really controlling the maintenance for the property. So that's a good way that you can add value. So you're looking to basically increase rents is a way, or increase income is a way to add value, or decrease expenses is another way to add value. There's both add to the bottom line, which makes then the property worth more, and then just a return on the value that you're adding. So you like if you're going to put $15,000 into a unit, are you getting enough rent back to make that $15,000 that you're putting into it worth it? So this is a picture here of a 5-unit property that I bought. We had to redo the porches there. So those are the guys redoing the porches. They were about to fall through. Lots of low rents at this place. Lots of deferred maintenance. So it kind of checked all the boxes. It was run by an old landlord that was just kind of ready to get out. He wasn't fixing anything. So it just kind of checked all the boxes and ended up being a great property for us. So for that property, here are some numbers for it, to kind of see how, what you can do with the value add and how powerful it is. So it's a 5-unit property. There's a 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 1-bedroom units. Extremely low rents, like I said, deferred maintenance. We did renovations on the property. We actually were able to get seller financing on this property. So basically, the owner that was selling it took some of the financing for us because it was in rough shape. So the banks might not have lended on it. So we got some great terms. And we actually came in under projections for our renovation budget. So when we did we did a value add to it, and when we did the cash out refinance, so this is, you basically would do a huge value add, and then you can either sell, or if you had enough value and the rates are good, you can do a cash out refinance where you're refinancing into a higher loan for that higher value of the property. Then you're getting money back in your pocket. So for this example, when we refinanced, it came out to $215,000 for the property. Our new loan was $161,000, which is 75% of that value. So we're basically getting $161,000 from the bank. So closing costs came to $5,000 for that refinance. So you take $5,000 off that. The seller financing note that we had to pay off, so the remaining debt that we owed the seller was $80,000. So we got $76,250 out at the refinance. And we put in renovation. So that we put in were $45,000 for this property. Down payment and closing came to around about $30,000. So when you take out of the cash amount that we had, we basically got to check extra $1,250 than money we put into the property, and then we have no money left in, and the property, even with that higher loan, was still cash flowing because we got the rents up, we got the income up, and then it was able to take on that higher loan and still produce income for us a month. So if you do the value add properly, you can pull all your money out with a refi or just take a huge check of selling the property. We decided to refinance it, pull our money back, return our money, and then just keep the property for cash flow. So, what do you need when you're doing a property? So, what kind of detail do you need? You need a rent roll and leases, preferably if you have it. So the rent roll is just the list of rents for all the units that you have. Leases will give you an idea. You can verify that the rents are on there, and then you can verify when they are, they month to month, year to year. You need any other income, so this would be garage income, storage income, pet income, whatever other income other than just the general rents that the property's collecting, because that does add to the income bottom line. And then you would want to get a list of expenses from the owner. This can generally be tough. They'll generally provide you with some expenses, but you got to know which ones that they're leaving off. And then the last one that you'll want to get is details on any big ticket items. So this would be, have they replaced the roof recently? How old's the roof? Have they replaced the HVAC system recently, or how old is it? That kind of stuff. So, or any other big fixes, maybe foundation wise, anything like that. So this is kind of what you probably would get from a small multifamily property. Here's like a example 7 unit. You might get something like this that I pulled off of. It tells you what kind of units they are, what the rents are, that kind of stuff. And then you'll likely get a couple of expenses, and you have to fill in ones there, but we'll touch on that later. And then where can you find missing information? So for taxes, you can generally find that on the county website. Insurance, I would get quotes for that. Even if they provide you what the insurance they're using, I'd still quote it out because you can save a whole lot of money there, and that can change your numbers. And then just general expense info. You want to know what utilities and how much the landlord's paying. You want to know any sort of like contracting costs, lawn and garden costs, snow removal costs, that kind of stuff. Any sort of like local costs. Some boroughs, townships will charge you a certain amount per month, or I mean per year, to have a rental property. So those are the kind of general expenses that you're going to want to get. What they paid on maintenance, over the year, or if you have further back than that, what kind of maintenance bills, that kind of stuff is what you're looking for. So once you kind of gather all that information, the next step is breaking down the income, and we'll cover that in part 2. So we'll see you then.